incredible DJ Academy podcast. I got Mike Wieder on the show today. Super excited to have him. He's a man with many years of experience. He's the owner of Ultimate Sound Entertainment.
Correct.
He's the author of Be the Difference Maker. And you're also part of the New Jersey DJ Network.
I'm actually the president of it.
President. All right. So how does somebody become a member real quick?
All they have to do is go to www.njdjn.org and they can log in and sign up right there. Or they can come to one of our meetings. And
I know the meetings are held the first Tuesday of every month?
Normally the second Tuesday of every month at the Crown Plaza in Edison, New Jersey. Okay. This month, because we didn't want to compete with a couple of other events happening, our meeting is actually tomorrow, this coming Tuesday, the 16th, featuring the 2018 DJ Times Entertainer of the Year, Artem Lomas. And you're more than welcome to come up for it.
I'm gonna do my best to try to come. I just started taking these hip hop classes on Tuesday. You know, I'm trying to get my experience up, trying to get my talent up. But I'm gonna do my best to make it. But
well, if you can't make it, all of our meetings are online. We stream them.
Mike, you're amazing, right? That I think that's awesome for DJs to be. I mean, even if you can't make it, you can still consume the content, which is important.
And what's more important is we record the meetings. So if you're busy at your hip hop class and not able to make it, it'll be online and available to people that have paid. We actually have a $20 charge for non-members. If you're a member in good standing, you have access to it. If you want to just learn and on the fly, you pay $20. It goes to the NJDJN on PayPal. And you get access to the meeting. You can watch it at your leisure, whenever and wherever.
So Mike, talk about why is it important for DJs to be a part of an association?
You see, that's a tough question for me because I don't know if being a member of an association is as important as networking with the right people.
Yes.
You know, it goes back to the experience. You know, just because an association is around for, 20, 30, however many years, if they're not producing and presenting you with learnable moments and quality entertainment, quality speakers, quality performers, presenters, it's just a bunch of people getting together. What we do with the NJDJN and myself personally, I'll pick up the phone and talk to anybody and try and help out where I can, because I figure if you're better, if I'm better, our clients are going to be happier and willing to spend more money because we're producing quality. So associations are great if they're providing education. If they're giving you the opportunity to get out of the house and away from the wife and kids, not as good. So a lot of people use it as an opportunity. Oh, I have a meeting.
Right.
And just a bunch of guys. What was that?
So you're not gaining anything out of it.
100%. For me, at the NJDJN, when I took over, I wanted it to be all about learning. I didn't want to have performance-based seminars. I didn't want to have you come in and show me how you do a wedding. Because as good as it may be, I'm not you.
Right.
And maybe I pick up a nugget or two on some ideas I can use. But again, I don't have your personality.
Right.
And thank God you don't have mine. It's really something where if you're going to have a meeting and go to the meeting, what you want out of it is to take away something that you can bring to your next event. So that's what we try to do. A nugget, absolutely. And whether it's something that you can go home and change the way you approach posting on Facebook or Instagram, or a twist on an intro or a cake cutting at a wedding, just something that you can pick up. And can you get it at most associations? Yes. Can you get it at the NJDJN? Absolutely. It's networking. It's not just going to a meeting. It's being able to pick up the phone or texting a message saying, hey, could use a little help, or I'm looking to brainstorm. I have an idea. Let me throw out some, things I'm thinking about.
So Mike, let's talk about Ultimate Sound Entertainment. How long have you been running that organization?
Wow, 37 years.
Wow. So have you been DJing for 37 years?
I've been DJing for probably, you know what? I'm going to say 37 years, because even when I started, I was entertaining.
Yes.
Because a DJ to me is somebody that I am not. I can beat mix. I can, do some things. I am not a club guy. I worked in the clubs for many years, but I'm not talented enough to be a club DJ. But because of my personality and my willingness to be on a microphone, I was able to transition into what I call an entertainer. So to me, there's a difference. A DJ is going to be that guy that really concentrates the majority of his night to the music, mixing it, making sure everything sounds great, the dance floor is packed, but they're doing the music, and that's the first thought, first and foremost in their mind.
Yes.
As an entertainer.
Yes.
As an entertainer, I'm not focusing as much on the music in a way. I'm focusing on the crowd, because the crowd will always tell me what to play. When I talk to a bride or groom and they give me a playlist, I take that very seriously. And I look at the playlist, and if the playlist is great, I look at it and go, wow, this is going to, kill the floor all night. I'm going to be, working up a sweat. Great. But if I look at it and go, wow, there's a lot of stuff on here that, probably going to kill my dance floor in most situations, I'll talk to the bride and groom and say, is there a reason? Because the one thing I can tell you, almost 100% of the time, you've never been out with that bride and groom, their family, their friends, in a social situation. You might meet the bride and groom at a Starbucks or at the venue. You don't know what gets them going. I did a wedding in a barn, and there aren't too many barn weddings in New Jersey. There are a few. But at the barn wedding, I'm thinking, okay, I got my
music.
You got, and I know country, there's some really good country, especially nowadays. But certain songs were being requested that I probably don't play as often as I could, or haven't played in years, because it was just never a big thing. And one of them was "Take Me Home, Country Roads."
Oh, that's very popular
in Virginia.
Yeah, huge.
But in New Jersey, not so much. When I tell you, I ended up doing it after that barn wedding at the 3 following weddings, and every time it blew up on my dance floor. I was packed. And I said, one of the important things is being open-minded and being willing to say, I don't know what they know.
Yes.
Because look, you're doing it over 15 years. I'm doing it 37 years. I know for a fact that you and I can stand on a street corner and a bride can come by and go, my DJ didn't show up. Can you help me? And we can go in there without knowing a thing. We can get people dancing.
Yes.
And make it a good wedding. But when you talk to the bride and groom and you find out their ideas and their thoughts and their feelings and why they like certain things and what songs mean to them, you take that wedding and it goes from a good wedding to a great wedding. Yeah, because you took the time to listen to them, and then when you get to the wedding, being able to read the crowd and put the music in the right order and manipulate the dance floor so you have a packed floor all night.
You talk about it in the book. You say that we're not hired to play the music that we like.
Exactly.
We're hired to play the music that they want. And coming from the club scene into becoming a wedding entertainer, it is a difficult transition, right? Because when you're at the club, they're typically hiring you to play music that you're familiar with, right? So most club DJs, you're either playing hip hop, or you're doing a country night, or you're doing a Motown night. But when you're doing weddings, man, you have to be so diverse with your music. And that's why in the book you talk about, which was a big takeaway from me, you talk about joining these DJ playlist groups that I had no idea about. None. I was like, there's DJ playlist groups? I went right on Facebook and I joined like 3 of them. So thank you.
Did you join mine?
I did. So, and I talk to couples about this all the time, Mike. And even with, DJs and entertainers, I think people get confused sometimes, right? And I know you talk heavily about it in the book where you say, the difference, there's a difference between a DJ and an entertainer. And I want you to dive in. Obviously, there's a different skill level that's involved with it too, right? So you mentioned, being a DJ, I don't really know how to beat match or kind of, maybe blend. And with an entertainer or MC or master of ceremonies, it's the same thing, right? We both have separate skills, and sometimes you're both. Sometimes you're the MC as well as the DJ.
When you're a DJ and your focus is on you and the music because you know everything, you're being selfish. You're not getting the crowd and you're not doing what you were hired for. Now, there are some DJs that are the most incredible beat mixers and scratchers that I would not let in a wedding venue. Yes. And there are some guys that can just fade and don't beat mix and don't do anything other than slide over from one song to the other that I will pay thousands for because they're incredible entertainers. So what ends up happening is, as an entertainer, and I'm not saying anything negative about DJs, I love a great DJ, but if I'm a guest at a wedding, I don't care about your scratching skills.
Yes.
I care about hearing what I want to hear, what will get me on the dance floor. I want to hear the transitions smoothly so I'm kept on the dance floor.
Yes.
I was working with one of my guys on this past Saturday night, and I did something that he looked at me and said, I didn't know you had that. I get a lot of redrums and remixes, and I subscribe to a lot of the different services, Select Mix, Promo Only, Master Mix out of the UK, and I get remixes of oldies. I have a remix of The Twist, and I saw her standing there, and Rockin' Robin and Johnny B. Good.
Yeah.
And we did a beat mix set with new stuff and transitioned into the old stuff at the same BPM and kept the crowd. So we didn't lose the crowd because we did for argument's sake, we did a hip hop set and all the old people were sitting down. And then we went to a country set and now the hip hop crowd sat down. And then we went to a EDM set and the country people. I don't want that. I want everybody dancing all night. So if you have the right versions and read the crowd right, you can pack the dance floor and have the same people that were dancing to hip hop, country, and EDM on the floor for the same music. So my job as an entertainer is not to feed the guests. That's a caterer's job. If I do my job better, they're dancing all night. Let them stop at Wawa or Quick Check or 7-Eleven on the way home, hit the drive-through, grab something to eat. I don't care if they eat.
Right.
If they dance.
Yes.
Yeah. So my goal is to cover that wooden or marble area all night.
And so that's a skill. That's not, especially at weddings, it's not easy to do. And I know you talk about in the book, really getting to know your couple, getting to know them, asking them questions. And you know what I love about the book? it's not just because the book is broken down, and this is just my my personal assessment. The book is broken down into 4 different sections, right? You got the how-to, which is like how to prep for a wedding, what to do when you're actually at a wedding, which was very, very informative, right? Because you can get hired to do a wedding, but how do you perform at a wedding? I mean, you go into so much detail, lining up the wedding party, making sure there's knives at the cake table, it was just very, very detailed. Tips and tricks, and also advertising, right? And so, anybody that's listening, please listen. You have to get this book. It's amazing. It's very informative. And I already told you it's going to be a requirement reading for everybody that's on my team. Even though a lot of the things that you talk about in the book, I say to my team, but it's always good sometimes to hear it from somebody else or to get a different perspective. I mean, I got a whole list here of tips that I got from the book, but we'll save that for the end. So in the book you talk about the prep, the PREP. All right. Can you dive into that a little bit, right? Like and it looks like this is kind of like your system or formula for when you're preparing for a wedding.
Well, the important thing to me is preparation.
Yes.
If you show up, like I said before, you and I can show up at a wedding and without knowing anything, just go in there and do a good job. And that might be good enough, for the average person. But I don't want the average person or the person to have the average experience. I want them to have an experience that they're going to remember for years. So for me, I always think of prep. So you prepare. Preparing is not just, getting the intro and showing up at the wedding. Preparing is everything you did to lead up. From the moment that, and even before the bride called you or emailed you, having your stuff in order so they don't waste your time, you don't waste their time. But talking to them, finding out about them. They're interviewing you to be the voice and personality of their wedding, and you're an extension, basically, of the bride and groom. So wouldn't it be smart to know the bride and groom? How did they meet? What do they like? Where do they eat? What movies do they go to? Do they do different little, things that people don't know they do? Or, cute things that you could incorporate. So the biggest thing to do when you're preparing is taking notes, asking the right questions. And I learned this a long time ago. You can ask questions or you can ask the right questions. And the right questions will get you the right answers. Because you can ask them, where'd you guys meet or how'd you guys meet? And they go, we met in college. Okay, great. If you move on to like the wedding, you didn't learn anything. They met in college. What college?
Right.
Was it in a class? Was it, at a party? Find out. How did you guys, really get to the dating portion?
Yeah. Dig deep.
Absolutely. And even if you don't use that at the wedding, you can use it for little things. In the book I talked about Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes, you did. Yes.
So that story is, it was actually another DJ. It was his wedding. It was on New Year's Eve. And in one of our many conversations, and sometimes I'll just send an email, hey, how you guys doing? Or Facebook post, what's going on? We were talking and I said, where do you guys go to eat? What's your favorite? We love Buffalo Wild Wings. I wrote a note. On New Year's Eve, driving to their wedding, I knew a Buffalo Wild Wings at a mall that was open. I stopped, I picked up Buffalo Wild Wings. I knew what kind they liked. What sauce and topping, and I brought it to the venue, and I asked them to put it in the kitchen and keep it warm. And right after we did the post, before the first course came out, I got it. I walked across the dance floor carrying a bag of Buffalo Wild Wings, and the bride jumped out of her chair and ran onto the dance floor and hugged me. And one of my favorite pictures from the wedding is the two of them feeding each other Buffalo Wild Wings like a cake cutting where they were feeding each other. They remember that every New Year's Eve they send me a note. We're having Buffalo Wild Wings. It was simple. Why? Because I asked a question and I listened. And when you listen, you learn. I've brought bagels for people. I've brought Cold Stone Creamery. I'm going to listen to what you tell me. You like a movie, I will do what I can to get something from that movie into your wedding.
Wow. And that's where the creativity comes. And
sorry to interrupt you, but another thing is a lot of people say we're going to customize your wedding. I will not customize your wedding. I will personalize your wedding. And there's a difference. And I think we talked about this a couple of days ago.
You schooled me, and you have permission.
Well, if you think about customizing, you and I can go to a car dealer and say, we're going to customize that car. We want the red, Firebird, and we want the CD player or the MP, whatever. We can pick the same exact stuff, and that car will be customized for you based on what was available to them. Now, when I get that car, I want to put the fuzzy dice in the window. I want to put the little sticker on my back window that I have in all my cars. That's personalizing it. So there's a difference. If you go on iTunes and you go, I'm going to create a list of the music I like, you're personalizing it. If you go on to Pandora and say, for me, I would go on Pandora and say, I like Run DMC. And they will create what they think I would like. That's customizing. iTunes, I personalize that. So I got my Run DMC, my LL Cool J, my Fat Boys, and I'm a happy camper. It's all about personalizing it. When you customize it, you're doing cookie cutter. You're doing things that everybody can do.
Yes.
They want lights, you're going to give them lights. But you're customizing it in their mind. But when you bring them Buffalo Wild Wings,
it's personal.
It's personal.
I got it, Mike. And what I also love about the book, Mike, is how you give personal examples, like you did, like you talked about with the Buffalo Wild Wings. One thing that blew my mind is when you talked about bustling the bride's dress and learning how to bustle her dress. I was like, man, this guy is dedicated. But
it's selfish. I actually learned that for selfish reasons. I had too many brides go out of the room because they had to be bustled, and they would be gone for 20 minutes.
Yes.
And that was 20 minutes they couldn't enjoy their wedding, and 30 minutes I didn't have my catalyst, my bride.
Yes.
So I started giving my brides and grooms homework, and I went out myself. You got the homework tip down?
Got the homework. I'm writing as you speak, man.
So I went to David's Bridal and I asked them to show me how most gowns are bustled. But there are so many different ways. So what I started doing was giving my brides and grooms homework. And for the bride, it was when you go for your fitting, have whoever's with you, your mom, your maid of honor, whoever it is, videotape your gown being bustled and send it to me. Send it to your friends, send it to me. That way, if nobody knows how to bustle your gown, I will come out and bustle your gown if I have to. And many a times I've asked the groom, do you mind if I grope your wife? Because I have to get down on my hands and knees and do the whole bustling thing. But that keeps things flowing. The brides are happy to do it because they realize, wow, people, they drink, they forget, they don't know, they're under pressure. Now they know, we have video of it, we have pictures of it.
Yes. So Mike, how important is it for you to have the couple on the dance floor while you're performing?
at the beginning of the wedding, they're my catalyst. I hate opening up a dance floor without a bride and groom. Once that's done the first time, they have to go talk to people, they have to take pictures. I understand that. But using them, that's what they're there for. Take advantage. Everybody in that room showed up to party or to be there for the bride and groom. So if you use the bride and groom and you tell people, hey, you don't want to let the bride and groom dance by themselves, you guilt them into it.
Right.
But one of the things we also do is prior to our introductions of the bridal party and the bride and groom, and we do this at every wedding, but some we have different ways we turn, and it's always discussed ahead of time with the bride and groom, is doing a first dance as a family. And what we'll do is before we introduce everybody, we'll go out, before we get formal, we'll go out onto the dance floor, get everybody's attention, welcome everybody, and explain to them that tonight's going to be different. Our bride and groom invited you because you're the biggest partiers they know. And they said, we want these people dancing all night and blah, blah, whatever your approach is going to be.
Right.
And just remember, your approach creates the response. If you're friendly to somebody,
say that again.
The approach creates the response. Because if you're nice to somebody, they're nice back. If you're an ass to them, they're going to be an ass back. So if you approach the bridal party as, hey, let's be cool, let's have some fun, they're going to be responsive. The guests are the same way. If you get the guests cheering before you even did the introduction, and before anything happened, you got them on your side and you're relating to them and they're going to be on your team all day. They're going to be Team Gene the rest of the night.
Yes.
So we prep them and tell them the bride and groom want to do something a little different because you're the most important people in their lives, family and friends. When they come in to whatever upbeat song might be playing, before they do their slow dance, they want to have their first dance with you.
Ooh.
And
Nugget.
One of my favorite weddings, they came in. This has got to be. It was May. I remember the date, May 14th, 1994. This is the first time I ever did it, and it was unintentional. But the bride and groom came in to whoop. There it is. And I was planning on going into their first dance, but as soon as the bride and groom came in, they had their hands in the air. As soon as they hit the dance floor, everybody in that room, over 300 people, packed the dance floor.
Wow.
And I said, that's a great idea. And we renamed it First Dance as a Family. And I tell the bridal party, you're my catalyst. When the bride and groom come in, you need to be the first ones to join them for that first dance. And we did that with Now That We Found Love by Heavy D. And the dance floor was packed. And if you want another nugget, we prep everything ahead of time. Nothing is left to be a surprise, even though nobody really notices because we do it seamlessly. But they're prepped, so they know when the bride and groom hit the floor, boom, come join them. Then pay attention because I'm going to ask them to form a giant circle, and the bride and groom are going to do their slow dance, their first official dance, in the center of all their family and friends.
Wow. So literally what you're doing is you're getting the guests engaged not only in the wedding party introduction, but you're also getting them to experience the first dance. So instead of sitting down watching the first dance, now they're up participating in the
They sat for the ceremony. They sat through cocktail hour. They sat through the introductions. They're bored. They're sitting there for the first dance watching them, and then they do this. I wanted energy. I wanted high energy from start to finish. If I can get them dancing, the more I can get them dancing at the beginning, they broke that sweat.
Yes.
They're coming back later because they want to know what else is going to happen tonight.
And you set the tone, really, is what you did. You set the tone for the rest of the night. So I can imagine, after you do an introduction like that, and then you go into a slow dance, right? So the energy level might come down a little bit. But once dinner hits, I'm imagining you're not going too high, but you're keeping the energy level kind of.
We might beat mix through dinner, depending. But you might also, and in New Jersey and most of New York, we dance between courses.
It's different in the DC market.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I did a wedding in DC, and they thought I was from Mars.
Turn the music off. We gotta get them fed, Mike. We gotta.
Yeah. Worse in Atlanta.
Yeah. And you're like, listen, that's not my job to feed them.
Exactly. But I also. But here's the thing. Here's another nugget. 2 weeks prior to the wedding, contact the venue.
Yes.
Introduce yourself. I'm the exactly. I'm the entertainment for so and so's wedding. This is what they want. This is what we've discussed. They want to dance between courses. They want to do a first dance as a family. They want to do an anniversary day. Let them know, because then they can tell the chef, all right, time out everything a little differently than normal.
Yes.
I have a friend, Leo Washington, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, who started doing the first dance as a family and dancing between courses. And he said, they won't do that down here. And I said, try it. Ask them. Ask your couples. Remember, you only have, let's say, 5-hour reception, 1-hour cocktail hour, 4-hour reception, but break it down. 45 minutes for dinner, 15 minutes for introductions, 15 minutes for cake. All of a sudden, you only have 2.5 hours to party. Capitalize on it. Don't let them wait. Yes. I always hear from the brides that, the day flew by.
Right.
Well, I want to give you as much to remember.
Yes.
So setting up an end photo. I do this great photo where all the guests are on the dance floor, bride and groom are giving each other a kiss, and everybody's staring at the camera but pointing to the bride and groom.
Ooh.
While they're kissing, and that's with everybody. Now that's the last shot of the night, quote unquote, but that's done after their first dance. Because I now have, 100 or 200 people already on the dance floor in a circle, and I just get them to give the bride and groom a giant group hug. Oh. And then I tell the photographer ahead of time, and I tell the bride and groom, I'm going to ask you to face the camera. Don't let anybody in front of you. And that shot is really cool. And that, if you want to talk about the advertising, I'll tell you how that plays into it. You want me to tell you?
Of course. No charge? No charge?
No charge. Actually, you got the book?
And I got a signed copy, too. I believe
copy. It. If you go to the back of I think it's, let me see. I actually have, I think it's in the book. There's a picture with the bride and groom and everybody pointing to them. And I could be wrong. Okay, it's not, I apologize, it's not in the book. I'll be more than happy to send you a picture and you can share it if you like.
Yeah, I think it's, maybe that's not it.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's one of them. That was done at the beginning of the wedding because everybody's still relatively fresh.
Oh, so you're taking a group photo.
And they're still there. Nobody's left. Grandma didn't leave. Your friends didn't leave yet. I'm taking that picture, but what I'm doing is there's I think it's called canvasdiscount.com. So I'm going on Canvas Discount, I'm uploading that picture, and for like $25, $30, they always run specials. I'm getting a huge, like 24 by 30 something canvas print of that, putting my logo on it, and sending it to them.
Wow.
I will guarantee you that picture is going to be hanging in their house as long as they're married.
Wow.
Tell you another cool thing you can do with that. Giftcards.com. You take a picture of the bride and groom, you upload it to giftcards.com and put it on a $25 or $50 Visa gift card. Picture of the bride and groom. Actually, I can't send you the picture. I'll send it to you separately. But a picture of the bride and groom, you can put your name on there, your company name, and it's a legit Visa $25 or $50 gift card. And you send that out in time for them for their 1 month anniversary. And you say, happy anniversary, dinner is on us. I will guarantee you, they will never throw out that gift card.
Wow.
And they will always remember where it's from.
You got to add that into the budget, into the marketing budget. That's Absolutely. A big, you know, Mike, I do group photos. I do them differently though, right? But I like this concept. So a lot of times what I would do is like sometimes to open up the dancing, right? And this really depends on the crowd. I'll ask everybody to come on the dance floor to take a group photo, show them how to do a line dance and open up the dance floor, right? But I never thought about, while having everybody already on the floor after the family first dance or after the first dance and telling everybody to look at the photographer, snap, that's thank you. Thank you,
Make sure you have your phone or your iPhone or whatever ready, yes. Or a camera, because it's a gold shot.
And I never thought about blowing it up in a poster and sending it to them. You're right. They are going to have it hanging, and your logo will be right on there. And come on, people are going to come to the house like, oh, yeah, that's an awesome picture.
That's why that Visa gift card, they're going to go to a restaurant. Waitress is going to see it.
Yeah.
They're going to show that to everybody. And they're never throwing it out.
That's awesome, Mike. So Mike, let's talk about the rehearse for a little bit, right? So that's part of the prep. What's involved in the rehearsal?
Well, don't show up and do a blind read.
Yes.
So you have to know what you're going to do. Get the names of the bridal party phonetically. You don't want to say Smith when it could be Smythe, which is a mistake I made. You want to know the names broken down phonetically. You want to go over the order. I go over the order probably more than 3 times, on the phone, in the bridal suite, and then when they're lined up to be introduced.
And they'll still change it when you line them up anyway, Mike.
True story, I lined everybody up. And it was grandparents of the bride, grandparents of the groom, parents of the bride, parents of the groom, bridal party. Lined them up. Walked back inside. My DJ started the music. I said, grandparents of the bride, doors opened up, grandparents of the groom came in.
Wow.
And they walked right by me, and the grandmother looked at me and said, you really screwed that up.
Oh my God.
What happened was, at the church, the grandparents of the groom came in first. So they took it upon themselves to change it.
After you lined them up, though?
After I lined them up. So unfortunately, that happens. You also have to know important things, and you might remember this from the book. You have to find out if somebody is no longer with us. You have to double check and triple check everything. And what I'm referring to is when I first started, and it's about 36 and a half years ago, one of my first weddings, I thought the maitre d's knew everything. Maitre d' was God to me. They told me to do it, I did it, because I didn't know any better. And the maitre d' came over and said, do the father-daughter dance next. And without thinking, I grabbed the song that everybody used. It was a song called Daddy's Little Girl. Mm-hmm. And I said, right now, we'd like to ask Jessica to escort her dad to the dance. And I remember the saying, I said, for each day until today and each day hereafter, you always have been and always will be Daddy's little girl. And the guy in front of me turned around and went, he's dead. And I wanted to die. Because I was not prepared. I did not know. And on my notes, it said in there, bride's father deceased. But I didn't prepare when I got there. I just wrote that down and didn't look at my list and didn't do what I need to do. I didn't position myself properly. You want to know where you have to be, when you have to be there, and what to say. If there's a dead spot in the room, you should know. So part of the preparation, aside from your introductions and your names, and that is checking the floor, walking the room, and making sure your mic works everywhere. Making sure there's a cake and a knife on the table.
Checking your frequency.
Checking your frequency. The conga line. So back in the day, there weren't many microphone choices.
Yeah.
So my first wireless microphone was an 80. And I was at a catering hall, and my guests just sat down for dinner. And in the other room, they were just opening up their dance floor. And through my speakers, because I didn't know, the DJ in the next room was on the same frequency I was. He announced that they were doing a conga, and everybody in my room got up and started doing the conga, and I wasn't playing it. We were on the same frequency.
What's going on? They hijacked my speakers.
Yeah. So, if you're in a venue with multiple events, check the frequency. Introduce yourself. It's another networking opportunity.
Yes.
Make sure, everybody is on the same page. Even if you have a videographer or a photographer that's going to do interviews, ask them what frequency they're on. Minor things like that make major improvements and differences.
Great tip, Mike. And so you have E for exhibit. What's exhibit?
Well, you're exhibiting your professionalism. You're the focal point at the wedding. Even though it should be the bride and groom, you're the one walking around with a microphone. Everybody thinks you're in charge. You're going to find out that you need to know where the bathroom is. You need to know how to control the lights. You need to know, what to do when they come over and tell you their chicken is cold. You're in charge. Can I use a small curse on your podcast?
Of course, go ahead.
My people that work for me and my friends know when I go to a party, I am king shit.
Right.
Nothing happens in that room until I make it happen. People don't eat till I tell them food's being served. People don't dance until I tell them the dance floor is open. Bride and groom do not come into the room until I tell them to come into the room. I am king shit. So for me, the exhibiting is I'm exhibiting my professionalism. I'm exhibiting the preparation that I did. I rehearsed, I prepared. Now it's time to exhibit what I learned and what I can do. So you're on exhibit, and you're exhibiting all your skills to the guests.
And Mike, I think that's so important, right? And that's why wedding DJs, and I don't know what the correct term is, wedding DJ, wedding entertainer, really is how you define yourself, right? But if you're a wedding entertainer, I truly believe that it's your job to control that room. You are in control of that room, right? And
Absolutely.
if you have that microphone, you have to, I don't want to say command, but you have to own it. It's yours.
You're the alpha dog in the room.
Yes.
And when you come into a room of 200 people, they're not looking at you. They're not paying attention. They're talking to each other.
Yes.
They're eating, drinking. They're not talking to you. You can walk out onto the dance floor and hope they're going to go, there's a guy with a microphone on the dance floor. Maybe we should pay attention. Or you can get on the microphone and say, can I have your attention? Or your DJ can play, different music that brings the focus to the dance floor. Or something that I do is called the shushing routine.
It's in the book.
It's in the book, where I'll walk out onto the dance floor. And my theory is that if you're in a room of however many people, half of them are listening to you and half of them are talking.
Yes.
So I'll get on the microphone and welcome everybody and say, if you can kindly turn to the person on your right and join us in shushing, 1, 2, 3, shh, the whole room goes quiet. And just so I'm not being an ass, I'll usually make a little comment like, I love when that works, or I can't believe that works, so they know I'm not being nasty.
Right.
So that works every time.
So Mike, I'm glad you dived into this, right? I don't mean to pivot, but
Well,
this is so important. The way you start a wedding is extremely important. So can you dive into a little bit, not too much, but I know you do the shushing technique. What other things, have you used that has worked as far as opening up a wedding?
Well, a lot of it has to do with my pre-intro, where I'll walk out there and I'll just tell the guest what's expected of them.
A pre-intro?
Yes.
Pre-intro.
A pre-intro. I tell the guests what is expected of them.
Oh, yes, in the book. It's in the book to talk about.
What they were invited for.
Yes.
And I learned something from a friend of mine, Daryl Jacobson, who said he calls it the elegant pep rally. But he gets on the microphone and he just explains to them. And one of the things he says is, the best thing you can give the bride and groom does not come in an envelope, does not come in a box wrapped in ribbons and bows. It comes with you eating the great food here, drinking the incredible beverages, and partying and dancing with us. And then you just pump them up. Are you guys ready? Can you do this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, if we're doing the first dance as a family, I explain what we're going to do. And then I say, all right, drink a little, eat a little. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to do the real intro.
Oh, I like that. That's the prep. The prep
It's
intro.
prep.
Play some music. You go out there. You line them up. Everybody, you're ready. You come back in.
But another thing, and you just mentioned the music. What are you playing when the people are walking into the room?
Yes.
What are you playing during cocktail hour? Are you playing Kenny G and background, Vitamin String Quartet? And it's nice, but I want to have a pulse. I want people to start feeling the music and getting into it. So whether it's for me, I'm doing Luther and the Spinners, and I'm doing stuff with a beat. Earth, Wind and Fire was one of my favorite groups. I'm playing Fantasy or In the Stone, just stuff that have a beat, because I'm looking around the room to see if people are doing this.
Yes.
It's strumming their fingers.
It's so funny you bring that up, Mike, because in the book, I keep referring to the book.
I'm going to have to read that.
You said that there are three type of people that come to weddings, right? You have your dancers, you have your no matter what, I'm not getting on the dance floor, and then you have the wild card.
Well, I call it those that will, those that won't, and those that might.
Yes.
And we're only there for one of those groups. We're there for the mites. Because the person who gets the invitation, in the mail, opens it up and goes, oh my God, I can't wait, I'm going to dance. I'm going to dance no matter who the DJ is, no matter what. Then there's the one that opens it up and goes, I hate your family, I don't want to dance. I won't dance. They're not dancing, no matter what you do. No matter what you play, short of a gun, they're not dancing. And then there's the mites, who, given the right entertainment, the right way to present it, the right music, will dance. Those are the ones that we're there for. Because anybody can get that person that always dances up.
Yes.
And no matter who you are, we're not getting that guy or girl on very rare occasions that never dances to get up. But the mites, that's us.
Yes.
I'm doing what I can to get those people up.
So the last letter is P for perfection. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, perfection is you don't get a second chance. This is the first impression you're making. You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yes.
Do it right. So perfection is not, it's not possible. I'd like to think, everything we do is perfect, but perfection is just a combination of the first three. If you did the first three right and everybody dances and has a great time, then it's perfect in the bride and groom's eyes.
Yes.
It's not what I do. It might be what I helped create. But if the bride and groom leave their wedding sweating, exhausted, dreading walking on the beach because their feet hurt from dancing so much, it was perfect in their eyes. And my favorite expression of all time is perception is reality.
Yes.
So if their perception was, this was the best day of my life, the best wedding I've ever been to, then you were perfect in their eyes.
So Mike, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer. I'm gonna be respectful of your time.
My time is your time. I'm good.
I wanted to talk about the personality, the right experience, the education, the salesmanship. We're gonna get back to that on part 2 of the podcast, okay? But before I let you go, please, in the book you have a chapter that talks about talent and creativity, right? Which is how do you develop talent and creativity?
Talent. A lot of people are born with certain talents.
Yes.
You know, people have certain skills that they can do and that they have. For me, talent is really based on education and incorporating your personality with your education, with your experience, and that turns into talent, because then you know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And because of your personality, you're going to put your own unique spin on it, and that creates talent. People are going to go, that guy was talented because he did something that we've never seen before, or he did it in a different way.
Yes.
Creativity comes from what we spoke about earlier, listening, and then taking their thoughts and their ideas and saying, how can I creatively incorporate that into their wedding? Because adding sparklers is not creative, it's not talented. It's a purchase.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. But it's a purchase.
It's a toy. It's a toy.
It is. Most definitely. It's a toy. It's a tool that we use to make our presentation better, but it's also only something that's on for a mere matter of moments. So it's what you're able to do and how you're able to do it throughout the rest of the event that depends on your talent and your creativity and your observational skills. You have to watch the room. You have to read the room. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people in our industry go, I know better. I'm going to play what I think will work, and not reading the room. And you could be creative, you could be talented, but if you're not observant, you don't get the opportunity to showcase that. So go ahead.
I was going to say, Mike, that I got to write that down, right? Reading. Because that's going to be a whole nother show, because I would imagine that takes skill. When you're reading the room, what are you looking for, right? What are you observing? And then after you read the room, how do you adjust to it, right? Is it a song you're going to play? Is it an announcement that you're going to make? A lot of times, especially in the wedding industry, I would say that there are, being in the moment, being able to read the room. Like, I remember I was doing an announcement one time where I was introducing I said something about the father-daughter dance, and typically I would say, now please put your hands together for the father-daughter dance, and they started clapping, so I just kind of went right into the music, right? There was no need for me to come in and say, kind of tell them what to do when they already did it, right? And that's...
Let me ask you a question about clapping.
Yes.
When the bride and groom are doing their first dance, do you get on the microphone and say, have a nice round of applause for the bride and groom, or anything like that?
Sometimes, yes.
This is my opinion. When you're doing that, you're distracting people from watching the bride and groom, because they hear a voice and they might go, what? What I do, and my wife hates this because I do it at movie theaters, weddings, funerals. If you start clapping, people will start clapping.
Oh, they'll follow your lead.
Now, to make it even better, during your prep work with the bridal party prior to the introductions, you tell them, when you hear me start clapping, start clapping.
Wow.
And then it looks and it sounds organic. And that sounds a lot better than the bride and groom are having their moment, and then they hear a voice over the speaker going, clap for them.
Right.
So if you start clapping, people start clapping.
I love that.
You want to stop a crowd from leaving a movie? When the movie's over, start clapping.
Wow.
Everybody will stop and start clapping.
Wow. So that's a great way to transition from one scene or to transition into a scene, right? So what you're saying is you're not going to say, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the first dance. You're just going to...
I wait for them. I'll introduce the first dance, because the way we do it here is when we introduce the bride and groom, they come right to the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're doing a love story or something, saying a few words, you go right into their first dance. So I usually wait a couple of seconds, then start clapping, and the whole room reacts, and everybody's clapping. You can even walk over, especially if you have that circle around them.
Mm-hmm.
You can just lean over and say to the people in front of you, when you hear me start clapping, start clapping.
So it looks organic.
It looks organic, and it's not you. People that came to the wedding are not there to see you or me and hear us. They're there for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
So they should hear you or see you more in the first 10 minutes of the wedding than they should the rest of the wedding. Because you're laying the groundwork. You've prepped them. You've told the bridal party what you expect of them. The bride and groom want a party. And the guests now know that you mean business. You prepped them and told them what their role is, to eat, drink, and party. So now, once the dance floor is going, don't get in the way. People didn't pay, give the bride and groom a check, because of you. They gave it because they loved them and they had a great time.
Yes.
So, talk less, act more.
So Mike, how can people get a copy? How can people get a copy of the book?
They can go to my website. It's www.mikewieder.com, WIEDER.com, and they can purchase it there. They can go onto Amazon. Look up the name, Be the Difference Maker, or my name. It's available in paperback, hard copy, or ebook.
Or you can just go to a New Jersey DJ network.
And I'll bring copies.
This is where I got my signed copy. That's where I got my signed copy. All right, so I know you do presentations on the book as well, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a digital presentation, or do you have some dates coming up?
Oh wow. I don't think I have anything planned right now. I do have videos of the prior seminars I've given. So if anybody's interested, they can get in touch with me on Facebook at Mike Wieder or Be the Difference Maker. And I'd be more than happy to hook them up.
Yep. With the donation. We got to support Mike.
Doesn't hurt. My wife will be very happy.
She won't be mad. So Mike, before I let you go, tell me, what is the craziest thing you've experienced at a wedding? That's how we're gonna shut down all the podcasts. What's the craziest thing you've seen without mentioning any names?
I'm trying to think if there's one in the book, or I've broken up a fight between the groom and the father of the bride.
Oh, that's classic. Really?
I told you the story about asking the bride to dance with her dead father. Let's see, what else? Oh, well, a lot of the experiences, because of the prep work, I was prepared for. Like I knew if the parents hated each other, so I avoided that. But things happen, and where I've had to pour champagne because I was the only one in the room with a corkscrew.
Emergency kit. He talks about it in the book.
Yes. And there you have the emergency kit for the DJ, for the bride and groom, and the emergency kit for the, for overall.
Yeah.
There are things that we need to know. I can't really think off the top of my head. Crazy. They're always crazy. Oh, here, I'll give you a crazy one. So I'm doing a wedding, and we're doing the garter and the bouquet. And I didn't know anything about the couple that caught it, but the first at the bouquet toss, the girl, her name was Kay, dove, literally, could have played for the Giants, that receiver, dove across and caught the bouquet and went crazy, very excited. And I was like, okay, no problem. We tossed the garter, and the groom's brother caught it. And the whole room started laughing. And I didn't know anything. This is back in the day. I didn't do my prep work. I didn't know anything. So nothing is going through my head that's a little weird. So we have the guy put it on the girl, on Kay's leg, and I'm making little comments and jokes using my personality, and the room is roaring. They're erupting in laughter. And in my head, I'm thinking that was funny, but not, fall on the floor funny. And I made a comment about, I don't know how often you get to enjoy touching a woman's leg, and the room just erupted. And I said, okay, it's funny, but nothing special. Then I had them switch places, and her put it on him. And the whole room was going nuts, and I'm making comments.
Wait, you had the... Go ahead, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I had the girl that caught the bouquet switch places with the guy, and I had her put it on him. And she starts going up his leg, gets to his knee, then uses her teeth, and drops her head in his crotch. And the whole room is going crazy, and I'm making, little comments. And when it was over, I walked over to the groom, and I said something. He said, I didn't know you knew my brother was gay.
Oh.
And I said, if I knew that, I wouldn't have said what I said. But the whole room thought it was hysterical. This is why you ask questions ahead of time.
Right, you prep.
You don't get caught in a uncomfortable position or situation.
This is the podcast, so if you're listening, I want to highly recommend that you get B, The Difference Maker. It's made a profound impact on my career as a wedding professional, and I just want to give you some takeaway nuggets from the book. Okay, you want to carry a copy of your playlist and special songs. Okay, and Mike talks about it in the book, right? If your hard drive goes bad, okay, you gotta have a backup. Would you agree, Mike? You would, of course, you would. You go to
I could tell you a story from 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine came up he's from out of state.
Yeah.
So he called me, said, can you provide the sound and the uplights? He was going to bring his controller. So I brought my computer and the uplighting and the speakers, and we were all set to go. And he goes outside, lines up the bridal party. He was the MC. I was going to do the music. And right before the people start coming in, I notice there's static coming through the speakers. And I said, did you update your system? And he said, I did. I said, did you update your controller? And he said, no, I didn't know you had to. And he had a Denon MC7000, which is what I do. And I said, you need to do the update or get me another controller because it's not going to work. Like one song, if you shut it off and restart it, you can play one or two songs and then you get static. So we ended up hooking up my second computer. We did the parents' introductions on one computer, did the bridal party introductions on another computer, went back to the first computer, did the bride and groom's introduction, and then because we had, or I always carry backup, we did their first dance and the parent dances off my iPad. And nobody in the room knew. Never let them see you sweat. So I always carry two computers with two copies, two full hard drives backed up. Oh, that's mine. We'll ignore it. Two hard drives backed up. Then I have 3 iPads that all have the same exact playlist library that I do. And an iPod just in case, and my phone. We have the same playlist on everything, just in case stuff happens. So what other...
you talk about it in the book. You talk about understanding and learning your equipment, right? It's a tip that you have in here, and so you
can update your computer with the latest software updates, but check out your controller, whatever you use, to see if there's a firmware update. and know how to troubleshoot everything. And always carry a flash drive with you.
So I didn't know that. So there's another. But you talk about you're the architect in the book. Personality is what separates you from the other entertainers in the market. Talk to your couple, not at your couple. Suggest that the couple do the first dance before the first dance. That's
part of the
I never thought about that.
It's part of the homework that I give out.
Yes.
But I give out good homework, fun homework. I tell them, don't let your wedding be the first time you dance to your first dance. Because what happens is, let's say you're doing a 4-minute song. How many times have you looked at the bride and groom and they're now looking around the room, or they're done? You know as an entertainer when they're done.
Right.
So I tell them, do your first dance. Go have a date night 2 weeks before your wedding. Crack open a bottle of wine, go out for dinner, whatever. Do your first dance. It'll give you an idea of the timing of the song, when the breaks are, if you want to end it early, if you want to invite your bridal party or your guests. Do your homework.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Gene. Hopefully we see you tomorrow. Otherwise, enjoy your hip-hop class.
I will. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure.